So ultimately, the big question here is, can YouTube start to act more like a cable channel? Can they get the same kind of advertising dollars? We want to ask a guy who knows this business very well. Brad Adgate of Horizon Media joins us now from New York. And Brad, you've been thinking a lot about this since Google made the announcement. Is it possible that YouTube could soon be getting the same kind of rates as, I don't know, a channel like FX?
No, I seriously doubt that coming out of the box. I think that's very ambitious to think that. I think the dollars are going to come from their online budgets, which is certainly a fraction of what the television budget is or what the cable television budget is.
Okay, so a small amount maybe to start, but at the same time, we highlighted they're teaming up with the likes of Jay-Z, Madonna, a lot of big celebrities. The strategy there obviously would be to move more towards something like Hulu, opposed to what we're normally used to seeing on YouTube, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think the one thing is that, you know, the irony is Hulu was created because of YouTube, and now YouTube is creating Hulu's model. You know, Hulu saw over 1 billion online video ads last month, and YouTube didn't even rank in the top 10. So obviously having professionally made content is something that's going to have advertisers migrate towards them, and that's been kind of an Achilles heel for YouTube.
Okay, so this ultimately is YouTube versus Hulu as opposed to YouTube versus the cable companies?
Yeah, I would think so early on. Ultimately, marketers are going to decide this, and I don't see marketers coming out of their television budget, at least initially. They're going to take a wait-and-see approach. I think a lot of the advertisers that are going to sign up are going to be those that are endemic, you know, the low-hanging fruit. There's a lot of different categories out there in these YouTube channels that are going to be a no-brainer or a layup for marketers, and I think they'll get those. But I don't really see coming out of the box this is going to sit and think, wow, we're going to get what television gets. Television's been around a long time, and cable television's been around for over 30 years.
But the end game would have to be trying to go after cable. How long could that process take? You mentioned cable's been around for 25, 30 years. It took that long for the cable channels to get the same kind of ad rates as the networks, right? Yeah,
it took them about 25 years to get the same type of ad volume. In fact, this year, for the upfront period, cable finally matched the broadcast networks. They both got about $9 billion. You know, it just comes down to what advertisers are going to willing to pay, and just, you know, where the dollars are going to come from and what rates are going to come from. And I don't see advertisers just lining up paying, you know, the premium CPMs that now a cable network gets.
But at the same time, what YouTube is saying here is we're going to have very specific channels within YouTube. Sports, fashion, comedy. You can get some channels that are tailored to that in cable, but if you're advertising on CSI, you're paying a lot of money and you don't necessarily know what your audience is. Isn't that true?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the benefit of cable is that it's niche. You know, you buy these vertical networks, whether it's food or HGTV or what have you. I think you'll get a lot of endemic advertising online, but again, it's going to be very small. When you point out, you know, 160 million visitors that YouTube got last month, that's still a little over half of the country. You know, cable's in 91% of the homes, and, you know, it's translates to over 100 million households. So even then, it's still smaller than what the cable industry's been able to get through the years.
So very quickly, what's going to determine if the cable channels start to get nervous about this?
Well, I think when you start to see dollars migrate from a television budget to an online budget, you know, the difference is this: online gets about 2.5 billion, 2.2 billion, 2.5 billion in revenue. Cable gets more than 10 times that amount. So when they start to siphon off viewers and go online, or you start to see viewers, you know, consumers ultimately decide this. And if consumers start watching this content online, you know, the advertising dollars are going to follow that way. So the content really has to be good, and we really don't know how good that is.
Brad, before we go, we just got some breaking news on News Corp and DirecTV. They had been battling it. They've reached a new content deal. What's your reaction to them ending their fight?
Well, you know, I think that it's one of these situations where I think that the FCC kind of like, you know, Fox has had some trouble with Dish. They've had some trouble with Cablevision. You know, DirecTV said they were asking rate increases of 40%, which ultimately the consumers pay. I'm not kind of surprised. You know, eventually these things come to resolution. I'm just happy that the DirecTV subscribers, which is the second largest provider of video programming in this country, you know, got to see Fox or the Fox Sports and some of their cable networks. But, you know, it's just another indication of just that these things are coming to a boil, and we're going to see more and more of these as we move on.
We certainly will. Brad, thank you so much for your time. Brad Adgate of Horizon Media joining us from New York.